Barissa scores!
There's scenes here at Perry Park.
Chris Lynn has taken the wild thing and sent him.
Oh, Bateman! Bateman! Yeah!
And then the Coles employee said, "You can't do that in here."
Where do you get this gear from, mate? I have no idea.
That
Anyway.
is
It's a
serious.
blessing.
That is
It's a blessing.
Funny
quality.
guy Finn at his finest.
Anyway, welcome back to the Beyond the Sidelines podcast, boys. Campbell and Finn joining me. How are we today?
I'm good, mate, but I'm feeling a bit sad. Finn's coming back next week.
Yeah.
Jeez, mate, you can't wait. You can't wait.
If only it was a longer time. He
I
was
can't
away.
wait a week. Yeah, I wish it was.
It's been a very short 6 weeks.
There's a lot of changes, mate.
What a change. You've changed.
You've
Yeah.
changed.
Ever since this podcast took off, you've changed. How dare you? You're not fair anymore.
Anyway, boys, before we get into our Fast 5 or Fast 4 plus 1, as we originally coined it, we have to put out a few congratulations. So we'll start off with one. There's a few congratulations in our Fast 5, but firstly, one we couldn't sneak in. Friend of the show, Minna Atherton, has broken the world record for 100 metres backstroke short course. First female to break 55 seconds. What an absolute star.
Oh, absolutely unbelievable. We put something up on our Instagram story about it, but yeah, congratulations to Minna. Really, really well done.
Girls
Well, that's
Grammar,
a
old girl, alumni.
Great feat, and Olympics next year.
You'd
so
hope
watch
she
out.
has great feet, breaking the world record.
That's-
Thank you. I'll be here all week. I'll be here all
That's
week,
why
Jets.
I'm the funny guy, mate.
Jeez,
That's why I'm the
mate.
funny guy.
Oh, mate, you set me up for that one. Anyway, let's get into our Fast 5. Boys, number 1, we've been seeing a little bit of dead energy in the A-League for Brisbane. The rest of the A-League has been lively, has been fun. My question I pose to you, does Brisbane need a rival?
Well, mate, I think you look at the A-League last round. There was the Sydney Derby and the new Melbourne Derby between Western United and Sydney and Melbourne City. So that's something that I think we're missing a bit, and I think that's reflecting in crowd numbers and performance.
Certainly, and we've talked about the potential for an expansion team in Queensland, in Brisbane, whether it be the Strikers, let's pray, or Gussie's Olympic, or Brisbane City, whoever it may be.
Or if you want to really confuse things, Lions FC.
Yeah. That'd make it very difficult for everyone.
I'm not a fan
But
of
I
that.
mean, you look around Suncorp on a game day, and look, there's not much going on.
Pretty grim.
It's a bit of a graveyard at Suncorp Stadium. If you boys remember the North Queensland Fury, who of course were kicked out of the competition in 2011, there wasn't even much of a rivalry between those two sides.
Not really.
There was also Gold Coast United, mate, and there wasn't a rivalry there. It's kind of like the NRL. You know, there's
But there's
a
more
rivalry of sorts between the Gold Coast and Brisbane, but
Yeah.
more with the
it's kind of
Cowboys
just
and
like-
Broncos though.
yeah, but they're just teams who are close, who
Yeah.
live close together, who are based close together.
I
But
think a lot of
think
people would... Sorry, go.
we need a team in Brisbane, so the
Yeah.
Strikers, let's get them up.
I think a lot of people would buy into the whole vibe of a second team. People who don't necessarily buy into the Raw would buy in. Anyway, we're well beyond time there. Secondly, is David Fafita of the Brisbane Broncos maybe moving? Is he a $1 million player?
No.
No.
That's just my opinion. Look, there's been news around, because the transfer window's coming up. I'll call it a transfer window. There's interest from about 5 NRL clubs for David Fafita, including the likes of the Roosters, Rabbitohs, and Warriors. Look, this is something that a lot of clubs do. They show interest in a player, not necessarily wanting to buy them. I believe he will stay at the Broncos. I think this is a ploy by a lot of these clubs, and this is something that the Roosters do very well, the Rabbitohs as well, is they show interest in players, and it boosts their contracts at the current club.
Gussie, I think for $1 million, though, you're not talking about interest and you're not talking about boosting interest. You're talking about signing a bloke who's been highlighted as a NRL prodigy, a talent. So I think the Warriors, they were reported during the week about throwing $1 million at Fafita. Now,
but
he's not worth that.
Yeah, he's not.
Like, why won't he take that? He's a young guy, I get that, and the Warriors clearly not the best place to develop as a player. But if you're being chucked, $1 million your way at 2021, mate, it's pretty hard to say no.
They're trying to make Brisbane scared that they'll lose him.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make Brisbane spend more in their salary cap on him.
Without offending him, that's a lot of money to spend on Dragon Link. Anyway, we're well beyond time. Finn, would you like one last comment?
No, it's just no. Not
Okay,
really. No.
great. We'll move on. Perfect.
Thanks for the offer, though. Appreciate it.
No problem, mate. The Western Force have been an absolute force in the NRC. They won the final 41-3 against Canberra Vikings. Thank you very much, Finn. I appreciate the support.
I appreciate the humour and vibe you bring to the show. Thank you.
Cheers, babe. We've got... do the Western Force deserve to be added back into Super Rugby? Do they deserve to be, I guess, professional team again?
No, I don't think they're going to be added back to Super Rugby. I think they need to maybe be reconsidered in that they might replace the Melbourne Rebels. I think the Rebels, everything went their way. They got WA. They got all their players, and they haven't necessarily clicked to the level that I think was expected of them. And I know Australian rugby as a whole has kind of been dipping recently, but mate, it's an AFL-dominated heartland down there, and rugby just can't compete. Whereas I think the Force, they've shown they've got some good talent coming through, albeit there are a lot of Queenslanders playing. Shout out to Byron Ralston for playing and winning. But you know they've got the fan base. They've shown that in the Super Series or whatever they call it,
For sure.
against Shanghai and stuff. But yeah, I think reconsider it, Rugby Australia.
There's a lot of Saffis down there as well. Or over there, and I'm sure they'll buy into more regular rugby and seeing their South African teams play over there.
I'm glad to see how they've rebounded the Western Force as well from being kicked out of the Super Rugby, how they've rebounded and taken out the NRC competition.
So you bring that up too, Campbell. The South Africans living in Perth in WA. That's great for the broadcasters in that they're going to have more South Africans watching Australian rugby.
Exactly.
But I think part of the reason of bringing Melbourne or keeping Melbourne in Super Rugby is that New Zealanders. And I don't think New Zealanders are as obsessed with Australian rugby as Rugby Australia thinks. So
certainly not.
It won't hurt.
Exactly. We've got another female just killing it. Ash Barty has become the world number one. She has been for a while, but she will actually be the first Australian woman to basically finish the year as the world number one since the world rankings have become a thing in tennis. Is she the best Australian female tennis player of all time?
Well, you keep throwing questions our way, mate, but you've got to answer one. So
yeah, I don't think we can say it quite yet. I mean, she's in the conversation. She's had a great year, no doubt. I mean, 52 wins and 11 losses in 2019. That's pretty outstanding. Not
too shabby.
Yeah, the people have compared her to some of the great female tennis players in Australian history. Maybe give her another couple years, see how she goes. I assume she'll do great. And she won her first Open tennis title as well, the French Open, which was a big moment in her career. So hopefully we can see much more to come from Ash Barty. Yeah,
and she's actually I'd probably say one of the best Australian athletes of recent time, especially with her time in cricket as well. Just absolutely killing it in all facets of the game. Anything to add, Phineas?
That's what makes her rise so incredible, the fact that she was playing WBBL as 12th woman, I think 2-3 years ago type thing. She walked away from tennis at 16, 17. And now she's world number one. Great feat, but she's got a long way to go before she can call herself the best Australian women's player. So.
She certainly does. And finishing up, the Brisbane Heat have a new signing, Tom Banton from England. Cassie, I'll let you take this one away.
Yeah, well, this guy is a 20-year-old top-order batsman, Tom Banton, right? Signed for the first 8 matches of the BBL season, and he's being compared to players such as Kevin Peterson.
Who loves Brisbane as well, as we all know.
And Alex
He
Hales.
loves it, man.
He loves it.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll be commentating this year.
I remember when he was commentating up here for... I think it was the Ashes or something. He was not loving it at all.
He's not a fan of Brisbane. No.
I don't understand why either.
Mayor of Brisbane? I don't know.
Maybe Chris Saberg catching him. That might have something to do with it.
Maybe.
Anyway, back on Tom Banton. He's one of the best young up-and-coming T20 batsmen in the world. He was CWC Young Player of the Year, which is an amazing feat. He follows some unreal batsmen in that category, and look, I'm looking to expect some good things. He adds to an already quite a good batting lineup for the Heat. They've got
quite a good's an understatement. It's one of the best in the league.
Chris Lynn, They've got the young Bash brother,
Max
Bryant,
Baz.
Ben Cutting. No, Baz is gone now.
Baz
Did
is
he go?
gone, mate.
Yeah.
Oh man, Jeez, I didn't know
Ben
that.
Cutting as well.
Yep. Very good.
Mana
That-
Slabashagny.
Get the blood. Boils me blood.
This is
I'll
a
tell you
ri-
what.
Guys, this is a risk, though. Wait, did you guys mention AB de Villiers?
AB de Villiers.
Gee
Exactly,
whiz.
yeah.
That's
Look
why
at
we
that.
keep hearing
But
out.
yeah, this
Insane.
bit of a punt, this one though, isn't it? Young player,
Yeah.
hasn't really been tested at this level because I think the BBL's really shown itself to be a premier T20 competition around the world, and
But it can also
Well-
be a breeding ground at the same time. Like we've seen young players burst through.
Well, let's
at
not
certain
forget
levels.
Majib Ur-Rahman,
Yes.
if I pronounce that right.
Mhm.
He
household
was
name.
he was 19, and he was playing for the Heat last year. So
He
they
was a
have
spinner,
faith.
right?
They have
Yeah.
faith in the young guys. So we'll see how Tom goes. I assume he'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I assume he'll
On
play
the
a bit.
Gabba deck as well, he'll be enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
plenty of sixes our way, I reckon.
I
Yeah,
hope
Let's
so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gus, who do we have this week? Speaking of cricket,
Right, we had Matthew Willans, an outstanding player for the Queensland Bulls. He's doing some work with the Queensland Bulls now. He's represented the under-19 Australian side as well. Former Brisbane Boys college boy. We get a few of the BBC and BGS boys on this
Girls, yeah.
podcast, and BGGS girls. So you can hear more about Matthew Willans' interview right now. We are joined by Matthew Willans, who plays first grade cricket for the University of Queensland in the Bulls Masters competition. Matthew, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
That's
Thanks for
good.
having me.
Now, let's firstly talk about that Bulls Masters competition. You play a part in that UQ side. What's that like as a competition?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very strong competition. We've had a good start to the year. Unfortunately lost last week in the one-day final, but the two-day stuff's going really well.
Yep, and you played against some old collegian boys, of course, Will Crook in that winner Manly side. What's it like to take on former mates?
Yeah, it is good. Crookie moved this year from West to Wynnum and is loving it. So it is, it's really cool to sort of keep going against your mates.
Yeah, and yep, of course, Brisbane Boys College. What was that like as a cricketing school?
It was great. I started at BBC in year 5, so played cricket for 7 years there. And yeah, it was great. The cricket program definitely taught me a lot, and pretty much taught me, how to play the game. That's when I started.
And you started off with the first in 2016. What was it like playing first 11 cricket at such a young age?
Yeah, it was good. I was lucky, to be honest, because we had a good little crop in our year, so there was probably 4 or 5 of us that were in the same boat, so I think that made it a lot easier. But yeah, again, it was just so much learning in that first year and doing well.
Yeah, and you still play with some of those boys, the Clayton boys,
Yeah.
Max and Jack.
Jack, yeah.
So
So play with Max in the first grade stuff, and there's 4 of us that have just been picked in the Queensland under-19 team.
wow, that's
So,
awesome.
so we'll go away with Harry Walker, Max Clayton, James Ward and me. So that'll be great fun.
where's that comp?
Over in Perth this year.
Oh yeah, fun.
So playing for Queensland in the under-19 nationals,
Yeah, awesome.
Playing on some bouncy wickets in Perth.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
they're nice
that'll
and
be
green
good.
too.
Of course, you are a very tall bloke. I don't think I've seen a taller person in my life. You stand at 205 centimetres.
Yeah.
Fast bowler.
Not
Yeah.
that you're counting, but
I can only imagine what it'd be like to be at the other end facing a
yeah.
quick.
I wouldn't want to be there. I'll say
Yeah.
that. I'll say that.
Exactly, and you actually, I saw an article online about you opening the bowling with Billy Stanlake for the Queensland Bulls.
Yeah.
That was in your first game for the Bulls as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was a trial game against New South Wales, and got the call during the week. And I didn't know that I was going to open with Billy until that morning.
Wow.
But yeah, the coach came up and said, "Look, we want to just have the tallest opening bowling partnership ever,"
Yeah.
and was sort of laughing through that.
Yeah,
So,
it was the tallest opening
Yeah.
partnership in Australian cricket history.
yeah. So no, that was great. And again, Billy was great that day to me and teaching me all these different tricks
Yeah.
and tips and stuff. So he was really good.
Do you model yourself kind of on that kind of mould of a taller pace bowler?
Yeah, I mean, I think naturally you just see yourself. I mean, obviously he's gone on to higher honours and all that, but what he can teach you, and we've both gone through similar things, I think, in terms of the growing and some of the injuries that we've had are quite similar. So I listen to him all the time, and anything he can sort of pass on is great for me.
And have you had any major injuries yet?
Touch wood, haven't been too bad. I've sort of escaped them. A few little niggles, but never had any major problems with backs or anything like that.
Yeah,
So.
back injuries are a real problem. Stress fracture.
Yeah, stress fractures in the back.
Injuries. That's a really tough one
Mm-hmm.
to deal with. What are the training sessions like, and what's the preparation like in a side like the Queensland Bulls?
Yeah. So my first season this year, being on contract with them, so we did a full pre-season, which was awesome for me. We had, I think it was 10 weeks of proper just gym and running and technique work with the bowling. Gym really focuses on the lower body, the legs, and strengthening them up, just to, like you say, take the pressure off your back so we can try and miss some of those stress fractures. But yeah, I think this year I've definitely hit the ground running a lot better because of the backing of 10 weeks of pre-season. So it's going well.
And you made that debut for the Queensland Bulls during year 12 while you were studying for exams.
Yeah.
What was it like to go back to school and for people to go, oh wow, you're playing for the Queensland Bulls?
It was really cool. Again, it was a trial game, but it was such a great experience. And definitely got there the next day and word spread around. Yeah. And there was a few guys giving me some stick.
I was about to say, was there some sledging next week against Terrace or whoever you played? Like a little bit of that?
Look out, this guy's a professional.
There was all of that. So, they were great about it. All my mates kept me down to earth. And,
I'm sure they did, yeah.
Now, is that sort of format your favourite kind of cricket? Or the 2-day format, 1-dayers, or T20, is that more of your style?
I got to say, I think 2-day cricket's really my favourite.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's more of a battle, because the batter, sometimes in 1-dayers I find that batters get out because they're trying to, move on the scorecard or anything like that. But I feel like if you get wickets in 2-day format, then you really have, done well. And the fact that you have to be out there all day, and there's a lot of times where you just have to grind and, hit the wicket and just build up dots. So I enjoy that.
I think most bowlers would agree with you that 2 days is probably the best. I don't know many bowlers that enjoy T20 cricket.
I know,
it's more of a batter's game. I was actually a bowler as well, and I did not enjoy T20 games, primarily for the reason because I got smacked out of the park.
I don't think that was because it was T20, mate. Look, I think that's just
I'm sure it was different with Matt, but yeah, I definitely found it difficult. But when talking about T20, you were signed by the Brisbane Heat on a rookie contract in 2018. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So found out probably in the last few weeks of school that was going to happen, and really was surprised, to be honest with you. Each club has the potential to sign one rookie, so there could be a Sixers rookie, a Thunder rookie, but I was fortunate enough to be the Heat rookie. And that sort of involved, I went to trainings with them and sort of followed them around and bowled a few balls here and there. But also, probably the biggest learning for me was going to the matches, and I could just sit in the dugout and just listen to how the bowlers talked about what they were going to do. If, say, we were batting first, they were talking about the wicket, or they were talking about how they were going to set batters up. I was in all the planning meetings. And again, like the trial game, it was just so much learning. And it is a different format, and I haven't played a lot of T20 cricket, to be honest. So the planning that goes into it, and they have all these sheets about where batters score runs certain ways, and so it really is quite complex. So it was great.
And you would have trained alongside players like Chris Lynn and Brendan McCullum. What was it like to learn off such great T20 players?
Yeah. The biggest learning for me, I think, was how relaxed that the guys were actually on game day. I think it really showed how hard they trained through the week to where on game day they could really just back what they've done and go out and enjoy themselves. And that was, I remember Lenny did a lot of talks about, just before we're about to go out, he just said, boys, don't worry about the nerves, let's just go and get it, let's have fun. We've done all the work, so the results will take care of themselves.
And have you added any of that kind of stuff to your game, the kind of training harder during the week so that you're relaxed?
And and I think it's just also an awareness that, or you try and put yourself in situations that you're going to face in the game, so that, on the Friday night when you got cricket the next morning, you can just sort of say to yourself, I'm going all right, I've done the work, what it'll be,
Nothing
what it'll be. Yeah. So
For sure.
And how important was Daniel Vittori in your development as a player? Because he is a very well-known Kiwi spinner.
Yeah.
As a bowler yourself, how important was he in your development?
No, like I say, he was similar to Linny, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was so relaxed on game day, and I just couldn't believe, they walk out to warm up or whatever, and there's 40,000 people in the stadium, and they're joking, and they're talking about something that happened during that day or something. And it was just sort of, if they can do that in front of that many people, then you could do that in grade cricket, that was a great learning for me.
For sure. And have you been with the squad this year yet, or this? Up to
Not
coming
this year.
season?
Primarily just been with the Bulls, and now I'm
Mm.
going to move into under-19s preparation for the carnival in December. So that's all very exciting.
So you haven't met AB yet?
No, I haven't
No.
met OB.
Keen?
Yeah, I think that'll be amazing experience. If
Yeah.
it happens.
Well, we'll talk about that national championship. So you've represented the Queensland in the national championships for
Yep.
the last 4 years.
Yeah. No, I started in 2016, I believe, and played a couple of years of 17s, and then I've played 2 years of 19s, one for Queensland.
And you were telling us there was a bit of heartbreak in
Yeah.
in those games.
Yeah. Unfortunately, played 4, lost 4 finals.
Oh.
So, it's a hard one to cop.
It doesn't get worse than that, I don't think.
Nah.
But I mean, making it to the final would have been
silver
would have been
linings,
great.
but it's definitely hard to take.
You
Who-
can taste it, but it's just out of
Yeah,
reach.
it's-
Not fun.
yeah.
Not fun.
Sort of teases you.
And New South Wales, of course, were the
So
strong
we've lost.
opposition.
New South Wales and Victoria get 2 teams in each carnival, and we've lost 3 times to New South Wales Metro, and last year we lost to like a New South Wales country team with a bit of ACT
Mm.
guys in there too. So.
Well, who are some of the other guys coming through the ranks at Queensland that you reckon can make the
Queensland,
first grade sides? Or maybe play for Australia.
Yeah,
someday.
so we're actually really fortunate. So as I mentioned before, a lot of the guys from BBC, we had a great little crop of players, but we've also got some players from other schools, like Will Sanders is also
Grammar boy.
Yeah, Grammar
Yeah.
boy coming through. He's heavily involved.
He's
in
really
the,
good.
Yeah, he's heavily involved in the QC program, and he's coming along nicely.
Angus Lovell? See
Angus
another
Lovell's,
one?
yeah, he's going really well. Actually went over to England and played for Surrey, I believe. That could be wrong. But he's gone over to England and did really well over there.
That's
and
pretty impressive.
Come back and really dominated.
A few players have done that. A few ex-GPS boys have done that, gone overseas,
Yeah.
gone to England, played a bit of cricket.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing that yourself?
Yes, I have. But in saying that, I also really enjoy the time off in the break because we finish in about March and we're up and running again by July. So sometimes, for now, I think it's really important to take that, mental break off cricket. It's a pretty long season.
Yeah.
So.
Do you reckon your bowling style would suit playing overseas in United Kingdom?
It'd definitely be interesting. One of my main mentors, Scott Walter, did it, and he loved his experience. He tied in a bit of, or most of the guys tie in like a teaching role or something like that, to where then they can get accommodation. So it turns into a really great experience. But I know he talks about it and the learnings he had over there and how to get up week in, week out was really important.
And you mentioned that mental break in the off season. Would you say the off season is more important for that mental break or for the physical break, or a bit of both?
I think a little bit of both, to be honest. I mean, the mental side of it, you play literally week in, week out, sometimes more than once a week. So I think to get away and just have other things in your life, whether it's I go and coach tennis or play golf or, just something else. But also I think physically, like we talk about backs and stuff like that, having time to just let them chill out for a bit is important.
Yeah. Have you had any advice on preventing potential back injuries?
I think it sort of goes back to the gym and the running. We have heavy pre-seasons and try and strengthen all the other parts in your body and strengthen the back too, to be honest, just so it can cope with that force. Lots of recovery, stretching and swimming and ice baths and whatever. Just all little things you can do to help yourself and try and avoid
Fan of
them.
the ice baths?
Yeah. Learning to be.
You
'cause-
definitely need it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things you just learn to not enjoy, but you need it.
Tolerate.
So, yeah, tolerate's a good word. Yeah.
Now, you also, enjoyed playing tennis growing up as well.
Yeah.
What made you choose cricket over a game like tennis?
For me, so I started cricket in year 5 at BBC, but I also started tennis and played the whole way through, and I loved it because cricket was in term 1 and tennis was in term 2, and we're talking about mental breaks and stuff like that. It was, those two sports are just polar opposites to me. I mean, cricket's more slow paced all day, whereas tennis is really full on for about 3 hours and then you're out of there. So playing those two for me, I think were great, and they're such different sports, so you can enjoy them. But I remember the major turning point was just the opportunities in cricket, to be honest. I got picked in I think it was under 15 Queensland team, and then they were straight on to me about, these are all the gym programs and these are all the running programs. So you're sort of getting that from the cricket. So it really turned into a no-brainer when you're getting all that help.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more attention from coaches and stuff like that, a little bit more structure, I guess?
Yeah, and they... they pick massive squads and, really just try and help as many players as they can and provide opportunities. So I think tennis is more, you really have to be at the top to make it, and I wasn't at the top. So again, I mean, just all the help and, like you say, attention, and they help you and you get better, and as you get better, you start to love it.
So making that first representative side really made you focus down on cricket?
I think so. Yeah. I think that was a major part of it. But also, I mean, love of the game comes through as well. So
who can't love cricket?
Yeah.
Campbell?
I love cricket personally. I know a lot of people that don't, but I love it.
Well, we're firmly into the cricket season right now.
Yep.
What are you looking to achieve this season?
So I think first and foremost is the under-19 championships in December.
Yep.
Really would love to win those, because this will be our last one, so to win that and move on would be great. There's potential selections if you go well in the championships to do greater things like the World Cup, but I think priority wise for now is get that 19s right. What'll be, and then the grade season. We got to finish the 2-day stuff well, and we got to win the T20 stuff. So.
And you went on a tour in Sri Lanka, correct?
Yep.
How was that?
Yeah, it was great fun. That was last year after last year's 19s champs, and you got picked in that. They picked a squad of 14, I believe, and we went over to Sri Lanka and played 3 one-day games and 1 3-day game. Won the one-day stuff 2-1 and lost the 3-day, unfortunately. So about even playing field there. But no, it was great. Great accommodation. CA looked after us so well. We had great food. They took dietitians over with us who made sure we ate all the right stuff and avoided all the stuff that make us sick and whatnot. So we had a great time. We had a great bunch of guys.
How do you find bowling over in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I think for the most part it's pretty similar plans. I mean, with the new ball, you try and pitch it up, and maybe it doesn't swing for as long over there. It's sort of more abrasive wickets, and then through the middle you try and hit the deck and build dots. So I think for the most part our roles were pretty similar. Maybe there was more spin bowled, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty.
And any standout memories from the trip? Any funny stories or anything like that?
Funny stories.
Or a favourite place you visited while you were there?
Favourite place? I remember we did a lot of stuff. We didn't get out of the hotel much because we were going from training to,
games.
To games, and if we weren't doing that, we were chilling out. But I remember we did 2 trips. One trip we did to like the local markets, and that was cool. We bought some cheap op shop stuff and whatever, so we all like
some
that.
rip-off Gucci stuff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
And then we did one really cool trip to a school in Sri Lanka, so they had a little, similar to like an inter-cricket program or something like that, and all the players were allowed to go out. We sort of played cricket with the kids, and it was amazing. I mean, they play literally on dirt, and still love it. So I think seeing that was really a great experience. And
I know from my own family's experience, my brother went over to Sri Lanka for the Brisbane Boys College.
Yeah, we saw them over there. I saw them over there. That was cool.
Was it similar to your situation? Were you able to play in those international stadiums over there as well?
Yeah, I can't remember the name, to be honest with you, but yeah, we did. We had great stadiums. We played in one that they played the test matches at, and there was another one that was a huge stadium there, so it was amazing.
They played music in between each ball.
Did they?
Yeah, for BBC.
Oh,
they were
we didn't
doing
get that.
I mean,
No one in the crowd though, which is a bit weird.
Yeah,
that's a bit odd.
interesting. But another thing, I mean, you walk down the street, and we were lucky we had buses and whatever, like all the stuff was taken care of, but everyone over there absolutely loves cricket. I've heard that about India, and apparently Sri Lanka's a nice sort of introduction before you go to India, but honestly, everyone, wants to know where you're from, you play cricket.
Oh,
nice to meet
they love
you.
cricket. Yeah.
They do, yeah.
for sure. How are you with the bat in hand?
Bat in hand, hit and miss, I would say.
Missed,
No.
yeah.
No, it's one of those things I need to get better at. But there's not a lot of opportunities, to be honest, with University of Queensland cricket.
True.
We bat very deep. We have
Yeah.
great guys batting at 9 and 10, so I don't actually get used.
Don't get
that
put
much.
out there that much.
So, no, it's good.
Did you bat much in Sri Lanka?
I batted once, I reckon.
Yeah.
And,
Spinner?
Yeah, spinner got me. I ran down the wicket and missed it.
Tying absolute nuts.
Yeah. So, no, that wasn't a prolific performance for me over at the bat. But,
Is it something you enjoy though?
yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
love it. And like I say, try to get better, so I'm in the nets a lot. But yeah, it is. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's real
awesome.
fun.
Fantastic, man.
It's been great to chat with you, learn
Easy.
more about the game of cricket. It's a great sport,
It is,
and
yeah.
you've been a great guest. Thank you very much, Matt Willans.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. And we're back. What a great interview with Matthew Willans. We learned a lot about his cricketing career so far, and there's still a lot to come with his career.
Back
Sound
yourself
more
there.
enthusiastic, Gussie.
Yeah,
Come
you
on.
you backed yourself a little bit there. You got a fantastic interview with.
Got to get that
Matt
soothing podcast voice going.
You'd be
boys.
Hey there.
Gussie, you'd be a really
Welcome.
good library announcer.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Sidelines.
Have you ever read a
podcast.
book, Finn?
Put on some candles, put on your
Actually.
diffuser, grab a glass of wine,
What do you
and
talking-
let us list off some sporting stuff. All right,
Number one.
continue, mate. That's what you were going. Are you going to read like a book? Like, are you going to be an Audible reader?
Well, I
and
might
be like, Mr. Gray's ready for you now. he
Try
said.
Grammarly.
Try
Yeah.
Grammarly.
We make a
Yeah.
mention of
Come on.
Grammarly pretty much every week now.
We really do.
You know what?
They should start paying us, I reckon.
I think so too.
Anyway, we'll go on to the cricket. Straight up, nice transition there.
Gussie, back yourself.
Bit of bravado, my friend.
I'm kidding.
Cricket time. Let's go. Let's get into it. Let's get it done, boys. Bit of cricket. I know you love it. I know you enjoy it. Let's go right now. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go. Boom. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Bulls Masters cricket. Day 2 of round 6, boys. In the Bulls
Woohoo!
Masters cricket competition. Yep. I cannot believe it's already round 6.
I can't either.
I cannot believe because, you guys had no idea. Anyway, Gold Coast versus the Sunshine Coast. Sunshine Coast are already all out for 255.
Already?
Already, boys. Already.
No!
55 runs to Angus Lovell. Congratulations to him. Gold Coast
Ex-BBC boy.
are none for...
Is he?
No, he's not.
Where from?
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought he was.
Well,
Continue.
he plays on the Sunshine Coast, so
My
he
bad.
probably
My
went
bad.
to Sunshine
Do your
Coast.
Touch that one
research,
on the
Gussie.
chin.
What? How's that my fault? That's Gamble's fault for
my
bringing...
fault.
That's on you, pal. That's
Right.
on you.
Anyway,
you're
goal-
the cricket guy.
Oh, all right. Well, I didn't say anything. Gold
Hey,
Coast...
you're a guy. He has a thing.
All right. What?
And
Anyway.
welcome back to the
Goal-
Jack Pact Hour.
Can I say what Gold Coast
Yeah,
are? They're
go.
none for 8 in reply. All right, so they got a decent chance of winning this game. I think they will. Right, Western Suburbs versus Toombul. Western Suburbs are 8 for 392. 88 runs to Brendan Smith for Western Suburbs. And Harrison McNeely taking 5 wickets for Toombul. Congratulations,
Bulls.
Harrison.
Get around it.
5 wickets. You know how many 5-wicket hauls I've taken, boys?
Zero.
Several.
No, I've taken 1. 5 for 9. It was a happy
us
day
through it.
playing on the Syntho wicket at
Ugh.
Albany Creek.
Oof.
And it was absolutely hooping. Classic 2-piece ball, just moves around like something that moves
Nice.
around a lot.
Good. Nice.
And 5 wickets for 9
That's-
runs. No one can
Angus
blame me.
just has a
Not bad,
way
good
with
size.
words.
he
I-
really
I-
does. You're a wordsmith.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you don't really words.
Gee whiz, that was dreadful.
This is why I'm doing a podcast, guys. It's because I'm good with my words. Anyway, South Brisbane versus Sandgate Redcliffe. South
Which
Brisbane,
one?
No, it gives you a
No,
slash.
Gussie.
No,
Which one?
That's
That's Sandcliffe. Sandgate or Redcliffe.
We'll go Redcliffe because of
Redgate.
their beaches.
Yep.
Right. So South Brisbane were all out for 157. Not a very good first innings from them. Mitchell Swepson absolutely bowling. Like just unreal stuff. Just spinning it between everyone's legs.
He deserves an appreciation page, I think.
I think he does. 4 for 44 in that one. Sandgate Redcliffe currently 2 for 72 with Charlie Humphrey on a solid 31 not out. Winner Manly versus the mighty University of Queensland. Winner Manly all out for 261 with 77 runs to Jason Flores, the redhead himself. It's a bit of a purple patch for Jason. He's now scored 397 runs at an average of 99.3. That's Donald Bradman numbers there. If only he was playing. If only he was playing in the for Australia instead of Winner Manly. But anyway,
Winner Manly basically is Australia, mate.
Pretty much is. I think, yeah. Once you've received that baggy win a Manly cat, you can walk off happy. So
that's where you call it quits.
He's one of the lucky few.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The next game, Northern Suburbs and Redlands. Northern Suburbs. This is just unreal. This is bully behaviour from Northern Suburbs. 2 for 415. Nathan McSweeney scoring a not out 204. And Michael Dawson with 113 runs. Redlands, none for 24 in reply. I have a feeling this will end in a draw, this one. Not a good day for the bowlers. Ipswich Logan versus Valleys. That's our last game of the round. Valleys 6 for 294, with Andrew Goad making a solid 81 runs. And Ipswich Logan are yet to bat. So they will be chasing down 300 runs in their innings. And Finn is undressing on camera.
It's literally
you guys
not
are
true, Gussie.
you guys are lucky this is a podcast, or you would have had to see what I was looking at.
You can't just throw things around, Gussie. That's not true.
I'm telling the truth. That's what happened.
You're not wrong.
There's a reason why Campbell's laughing like it's hysterical.
I read a funny joke somewhere.
Yeah, all right. Sheffield Shield, the big boys, well, sort of. Their upcoming games on Thursday, so the day before this is released, Tasmania versus Victoria, South Australia versus New South Wales on the Friday, and Queensland versus WA on the Saturday. New South Wales sit at the top of the Sheffield Shield ladder. Queensland down in third. Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia 4, 5, 6, and Western Australia in second. We'll get on to the A-League now, boys.
Finn's taking a nap, so that's fantastic.
Here's
A-League.
Gussie, who'd you pick for the Sheffield Shield?
New South
question.
Wales have been stunning so far. I expect it'll probably be a New South Wales-Queensland final. But yeah, I think New South Wales have too much quality.
It happens every year, though. I mean, New South Wales, they're absolutely blessed with international talent.
Yeah.
But when those guys step away, do they have the depth to compete with, more traditional teams such as, Tasmania and Victoria?
Oh, I think they do. They've still got some quality players who probably won't be selected for Australian duties. Players like Moses Enriquez, who has been a great player for so long.
Very good in the BBL.
Daniel Hughes as an opener, he's brilliant. And a few good bowlers in there as well. But yeah, it certainly helps with Steve Smith and the likes of Steve Smith, David Warner, all those guys.
Especially with the form he's in. If you have a guy like Steve Smith, you're pretty much not going to lose. He's just in that type of form. So it's yeah,
certainly.
I mean, but they've got to enjoy it while they can because these Test players aren't going to last forever. So especially with, I think the summer of cricket started. Was it last week? Earlier this week?
Yep.
Didn't Australia play? Was it Sri Lanka?
Yep. And David Warner scored more runs than the whole Sri Lankan side.
Which is
Actually,
crazy.
that was controversial.
Yeah.
Was it end of the first over? He ran 2 or something, and the ball hit him, deflected off him, and he ran a single. So he could face the next ball. Have you seen that? Because it's an unspoken rule in cricket. Unspoken
running
rule in cricket
when the ball hits you. Yeah.
When the ball hits you,
I get what you mean.
If you're not trying to hit it,
yeah,
which you obviously aren't when you're running.
It's not against the rules. It's just common courtesy in the game.
Rule. Yeah.
It's an unspoken rule, Campbell, and I don't know. He doesn't help his reputation.
No.
Warner, and that's what gets me.
But
he's known as being a bit of a.
But
Oi, boys,
But
you'll
he
love
loves his OLED TV.
Oi, he does.
Loves his
He
OLED.
does.
He
Is
does
it
love an
Woolworth-
OLED.
Was it Woolworths? It was
I don't know.
He
Remember if
Loves his OLED
yeah, his
TV.
old
2
job was
years-
at Woolworths.
2 years ago. He was doing a Woolworths ad, and
Yeah.
they asked him, if you weren't a cricketer, what would you
Probably
what
still
would you be
work
doing? And he was like, oh, I'd probably still be at Woolworths.
Yeah,
Enjoying my OLED TV.
Do you know he goes
No.
for the? You know he goes for the Roosters as well.
Oh,
Cheers,
that
mate.
explains.
Does
explains a lot.
Does that make you hate him even more?
That's going to be enough for you to crawl back to Canberra.
Maybe they
for
might
you.
pull it. Maybe,
I think he
maybe
was-
they might put him on, fit him under the salary
I think
umbrella.
he was.
as you
I
call
think
it.
he was. I think he was watching the Roosters on the OLED TV instead of going to the game.
No, you guys know what I mean, though? He doesn't help his reputation.
That was a stunning joke about how no one goes to Roosters games, but you guys didn't even pick it up.
It's not
You
even
shouldn't be
funny, it's
bragging
sad.
about your team not having supporters.
Yeah, well, I got.
The NRL can't
can't
crack
always just
15,000 to
back 'em
games.
up.
Nah.
The NRL can't crack 15,000 to games that aren't in Brisbane.
Yeah.
What's that saying about your game?
It's not wrong. Game.
Anyway,
right.
Gussie, you alluded to it before, mate. Should we talk some
Let's talk some
football?
A-League.
Some
Talk some
football.
A-League, the Australian League.
Yeah.
The league without a second division.
So-
Go figure.
Yeah.
Where's the B League?
What a great league.
Where's the B League?
We're 3 weeks in now. Match day 3, boys. It's kind of flown by.
It really has, actually.
It's going too quick for me. I can't
Well,
keep up.
don't worry, guys. It's a 22-team comp, 11-team comp, but
Yeah.
you'll get to see another 20 weeks of A-League regular season action.
Yeah.
So you won't be saying that in 20,
You're
20
not
weeks.
missing anything.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah.
mate. So
Well,
it's,
we'll start off with the game on the Thursday, I believe it was. The Brisbane Roar losing their first home game of the season to Melbourne Victory, 1-0.
It's hard to say their first home game of this. Like, they've played 2 games.
Yeah.
So
well, it's still
Well, I mean,
their
it
first,
was still
well,
their
no,
first home game.
then
It is.
Campbell, then what was their? When
Yes.
was their first home game?
you're right, but it's their second
Yeah.
game of the season, so it's like
Yeah, I know.
But,
It's
yes.
I
still-
think that's an
agree.
accurate statement.
it is
it's a
accurate.
very
Don't get
accurate
me wrong.
statement.
Yeah.
You've got
well,
you've got to have your first game sometime, Campbell. So what are you
Well,
complaining about? bro?
yeah. I mean,
fact
once
they
again,
lost. They lost to my boys.
this was not a game
Hey,
that
you
you'd
support
want
the
to.
victory.
Yeah, boy.
Cool.
Why?
Shh.
What's wrong with you?
Oi,
Because I'm from Melbourne. You're Westie.
imagine being from Melbourne. That's even worse.
You
I
were
don't-
born in Canberra.
You're born in Canberra. pal.
You live.
Let me
You were
just
born
go
in a
down and
made-up
get.
city.
Let me go down to this bloody coffee shop and order a
Uh.
skinny latte and paint some graffiti on the wall and then go watch some AFL and get hit by a tram.
Oh, I'm from Canberra. Let me go around a roundabout and go to get a bloody season's pass to Questacon, because that's
Well,
all
it's-
that you can bloody do there.
Actually, you're wrong. You can't do anything.
Go
Okay,
be,
fair
go
enough.
be a
There's a lot of
politician.
sheep.
Ha, got you.
Huh.
Wrecked.
Well, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, come on, mate. Lots of sheep there.
Just go home.
Lots of sheep. I was in New Zealand a few years ago, and I think a sheep was giving me the love me eyes. So
Where all good
Got a bit
stories start.
excited.
Oi, oi, watch out. Continue,
Yeah,
Gusmans.
Benji Marshall's wife.
Benjamin.
Right.
My
Um,
lord.
So yeah, that Brisbane Roar game. It wasn't much of a game for the spectators. It was a bit of a
Never
runaway
is
goal
it.
for
never is in the
Melbourne
A-League.
Victory. Yeah, a bit of a library in Brisbane as well. Bit of a library at Suncorp Stadium.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you put that in.
The second game of the round was Adelaide United and the Newcastle Jets. 2-1 to Adelaide. This was in Newcastle. Not a very good start to the season for Newcastle once again. They
No.
struggled last year, and I think they'll struggle again
Well-
in this A-League season.
Mate, that's what annoys me though. Again, I hate that I'm bringing this up again, but without a second division, teams like Newcastle, teams like Wellington,
They
Central
don't
Coast,
Feel like they need
they're
to get
losing
better.
now.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the 6, or at least
Yeah.
they shouldn't.
The what?
They're
The
not going
top
to make the top 6.
Sorry, your Kiwi accent was a little bit strong on that one for me.
6.
Continue.
Thanks, mate. Moved
problem.
to Australia when I was 5, so I'm sure my Kiwi accent's in full swing.
It was there.
Yeah, but teams like those 3, they don't have a real need or a desire to have to improve.
I mean,
Obviously
I
they
think
want
that's a
to.
bit harsh. Yeah, I think
No,
everyone
they
wants
want
to improve.
No, they want to improve, mate. But I'm saying at this time of the season, in a few weeks, it'll become clear that there's a big gap between certainly the top 3 and the bottom 3, and then that'll widen to top 6, bottom 5. And those bottom 5, most of those will be locked in the bottom 5 for half the season, and there's no need or there's no fight.
Yeah.
You know, so without promotion relegation, there's no incentive really for these teams to keep trying, compared to let's look to next year and let's develop some young talent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, the game to watch of this round was the Sydney Derby, which saw Western Sydney Wanderers defeating Sydney in the first game at first A-League game at Bankwest.
Well, their first win there, right?
No, first game, I believe.
It was their first game at Bankwest.
Was it their first game at
yeah.
Bankwest?
It was their first game
First
at
ever game.
I
Bankwest.
thought it was their first win at Bankwest.
What a stadium Bankwest is as well.
It
yeah.
was their first derby win in over 3 years, so
That's-
over
yeah,
1,000 days. Gussie, can you count to 1,000?
Look, I can try.
Yep.
I'd probably lose interest by the time I get to about 250.
Yeah, no, but obviously that's a lot of days, gents. So,
It is.
congratulations to the Wanderers.
Yeah.
Sydney is red and black, but
Yeah.
I still think the Sky Blues will have the better of the Wanderers come season's end.
Did
But
you
anyway,
Did you see the A-League took the the not bad good size guy? They took him to the game and walked around. You
what?
can go see that.
Oh, wow.
Not bad, good size. That guy.
Oh.
You've been overseas for too long, bud.
I actually think I have. Is that a new ad?
No, it's not a new ad, mate. It's a new meme, mate. Guy goes fishing, says, not bad, good size, about a
Yeah,
fish. Anyway,
yeah.
you'll see it when you get back.
And he got free
Um,
tickets to the game.
Yeah,
They
for
just-
sure.
That's what we need
Clearly,
to do.
they're just dishing them out now.
Yeah, where's
We need to
ours?
we need to make ourselves memes, and then we'll go viral.
Yeah.
They may even put us on Cox Plate stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Hey.
Wait, come on, let's not kick him while he's down. All right. Finn, you'll be happy about this one.
What?
Wellington Phoenix defeated by last year's minor premiers, the Perth Glory.
I'm thrilled with
2-1
that.
at home, they lost.
You guys, well, on that, you've got the Merseyside Derby, you've got the Old Classico, you've got the Manchester Derby, but no derby compares to the distance derby. Over 5,000 kilometres, Perth travelled to Wellington Westpac Stadium, an absolute fortress, I might add. An absolute fortress for the Phoenix.
Mm.
And they got lucky. That's
whole
the
10 fans
reality.
that-
They got lucky.
That's all that happened. They got lucky.
Because the Phoenix decided, the smart strategy here is to bench our star signing. What? They did that. That's peak Wellington.
Which star signing are you talking about?
Gary Hooper.
Yeah, fair.
The man from the EPL, Celtic.
Yes.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
I think
yes.
he just signed from Sheffield
He may not
Wednesday.
be fit.
He might not be, mate, but he's still better than the crop who'll
Yeah,
play for
just
Wellington
chuck
at
him
the
on
moment.
anyway.
So
I don't mind Stephen Taylor at the back too for you guys. You've got
I
like,
do
a
like
few
Stephen
core,
Taylor. He was
core players.
really good last year,
Yeah.
especially when he was with Durante,
Yeah.
who's now, of course,
with
the traitor
with Western
at Western United, along with Kurto and Rudan. So,
Yeah.
But yes, I think it's nice to have those two players, but again, those are two pieces to a very big puzzle. That
Right.
is Wellington Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
And the last round of Derby round was a new Derby, right? Melbourne City defeating the new boys on the block, Western United.
Yeah.
So that was
Boys from GMHBA.
Yeah, 2-1 to Melbourne City. They actually also suffered a red card in that game. So well done to Melbourne City. They looked quite clinical throughout that game.
how much of
I
the
was
game did
watching
you
this-
watch, Gussie?
I watched about a half. I think I watched the first half. Saw
Yeah.
City's goal. It was quality. They look like a good side this year, and I think they can go, if not all the way, very close to it.
Have Western United exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, they have. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting them to do as well. Well, this is their first loss, but they still looked quite good. They still looked threatening up front, and that's
Of course,
what
Best
was
art.
good to see about
best
Western United. There's nothing worse in the A-League than seeing a side that just dinks it around at the back
Yeah.
and doesn't do much with it. Western United, when they have possession, they look threatening. Obviously you're going to get it up to your star strikers, but their midfield players, Diamantina and Kone,
Panagiotis Kone. Yeah, their midfield is fantastic.
they've been brilliant so far, and they're supplying the strikers with plenty of ball, and it's looking good.
For sure. They've been, they're really taking the game to the opponents, which I really respect, and they're really showing what football's all about.
It's as though they're not the underdogs. It's as though they've been in the competition for a while, and it's good to see. Right.
So the takeaway is, regardless of the scoreboard, football's the winner whenever Western United take the field.
Not always. We don't know yet, mate. They
No.
played
Mate,
3
it's
games.
the second game. It's 3 games. I'm just saying that so far they've looked good for a new side. I think they've done well.
We're going to
They
touch
have,
on
mate.
something. Sorry,
was-
continue.
So I was just going to say, just quickly, it was the same with the Western Sydney Wanderers when they came in. They came in with no expectations, no real, need to play any one way. They played with freedom. That's the word I'm looking for, with freedom. And Western United are playing quite similar. The Wanderers, they won the minor premiership and got to the final their first year. So see if it can be a similar theme with the
Raw?
Western United.
I think the Raw beat them.
Yeah, it was the Raw.
That
Was it
stunning
Jason,
game.
Jason Derulo, Suncorp, he was in the half and half shirt. Something you
that
should
one?
never
Yeah.
see in world football.
That is filth.
No.
Clearly doesn't understand what's going on.
Certainly not.
That was Enrique, I think.
Enrique.
He scored late.
The slippery
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah.
The
He's
Brazilian.
apparently going to play NPL football next year.
Did see
that's,
that.
That's
Did
something
see that.
exciting to look out for, and let's hope he lands at the Strikers. But
See
as
at Perry
media,
Park.
we have no bias.
We
shouldn't
don't
be
have
biased,
any
so-
bias. We're going to touch on something that we haven't touched on yet. Bit of National Basketball League. Touch on it, Finn. You wanted to get onto it. You saw the Boomers and the USA play in Melbourne a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now you got a bit of basketball fever, mate.
Courtside tickets, mate.
See, I reckon I was born to be a basketballer, but then I didn't grow from when I was 13. So, yeah.
So you weren't born to be a
But no.
basketballer.
No, I wasn't Campbell. I wasn't Campbell. I was, yeah. But NBL started a few weeks ago, so I'm a bit disappointed. You guys haven't touched on it yet. I don't know. You haven't
Yeah.
been caught up in
This is a
the
team effort, my friend.
Things we have a lot to
It is,
talk
mate,
about, you know.
Fins in Japan. You can't be my shoulder. My back hurts so much from carrying you. Too
Oh,
anyway, so,
my
I mean,
God.
Okay,
Do
Champion.
not
Champion.
even
Go.
start.
Okay, champion.
No. Have you guys been caught up in the LaMelo Ball hype yet, or
Well, I have been for a few months, not recent stuff.
yeah?
Obviously, he's part of
Hey.
the Ball family, but not
Yeah.
recently.
He started pretty well. He had a big match up. I think it was earlier this week or late last week with RJ Hampton.
Yes.
He's a very similar situation. He signed with the Breakers straight out of US high school, opted to go to the NBL for money, for a real experience. But I think, Campbell, you should know about this. College sport in the States hasn't a law passed or a bill that players can get paid. Yeah.
I don't think it's been fully passed yet, but they're working on it, and it's in certain states. So I think Florida
Yeah.
is going to be the first to do it.
Yeah. That's what I think, yeah.
But yeah, it'll be really good. I
you
think
think
they
they should-
deserve it.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before. I definitely think they should.
I think
Yeah.
they should, mate. For how much, for their likeness is used so much.
Yeah.
And it's not fair if they're just being promised, hey, you'll get paid eventually when
And
you
also-
go pro.
But
So
a
I
lot-
think
You're getting paid in an education.
And also,
Exactly.
these guys
that's
have
true.
a big commitment in some of these sides. They probably commit just as much.
It's a
As the
professional
professionals.
setup, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But
And
they
it's-
are, mate. They are. It's in a way, it's silly that they just can't go straight from high school to the pros. But
But
there you go.
I also find it weird that they can't make any money, period, in high school.
Yeah.
In college though, like they can't say like there's been athletes, college athletes who've tried to make YouTube channels, things like that, make businesses, things like that, who've been basically kicked out of college because they are making money off their name and their likeness instead of the universities, which is extremely crook.
That is.
And also we know why LeVar Ball. This is why
LeVar Ball.
he is a crazy man. Weren't
Very
two of
good
his
businessman.
sons in Lithuania playing?
Lithuania. Yeah, that's
What?
correct.
Never lost.
Never low.
Never lost.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in
No,
your
but,
lane, cuz.
So that law, that rule, whatever you want to call it, that can be pretty, can mean bad things for the NBL though. I mean, if players don't have to come down to Australia to get money,
But we haven't seen a lot
go
of
to
that,
China.
though. We haven't seen a
You
lot of that.
haven't.
These are really
But
the
I-
first experiments of it.
I think the idea was that LaMelo and RJ Hampton, they would start a bit of a snowball effect almost. But
They're guinea pigs,
players in the
basically.
States, if they want money, you go to Australia, and
Oh, I'd
that
love
would have
that.
been awesome. But I
Imagine
mean,
seeing Zion Williamson just dunking on bloody Australians, just day in, day out. Just
Wouldn't
do it.
even
Sorry,
mind
Dad.
it. Wouldn't
No.
even mind it.
he's
Oh,
a big human.
he's
But
a big
we'll
human.
talk about the basketball just briefly. So speaking of LaMelo Ball, he's guided his team to a bottom of the league finish. They are Illawarra. They're currently coming last.
Solid.
He's played pretty well. I'll give him that.
What
I think he's
do you have any of his
Yeah.
stats up or no?
caught me off guard here, Campbell. No, I
Sorry.
don't.
I'll look him up.
Yeah.
You continue. Keep talking.
No, mate, but he certainly, I think, increased his stocks when it comes to should he be number one pick next year in the NBA draft. Well, he hasn't hurt his chances, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But top of the pile, we've got Sydney Kings and the Perth Wildcats. Sydney haven't lost after 5 games, but man, they are pretty lock-on favourites, I think, to win the title this year. That's a pick, but we were talking just before about South Melbourne, Western Melbourne, whatever you want to call them, Western United. There you go.
Yeah.
Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. They're the expansion team in the NBL, and they're very similar to Western United, performing very strongly.
Yeah.
They're coming third, only lost the once.
My question is why they called them Southeast Melbourne United. Was it Southeast Melbourne United?
No.
I think that's pretty well.
Yeah,
Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Again, it trips me up every time. But yeah, they should just be called. What's that? Geelong?
Yeah.
Did you say southwest or southeast?
Southeast.
Southeast.
No, that's not Geelong.
Isn't
That is more like
Here we go.
no. West
boy.
is Geelong. East is more like kind of Launceston. Not Launceston.
Launceston.
Crow's
No,
Nest?
Yeah,
not
maybe.
Launceston. That's a bit too southeast.
They're too south, mate.
Phillip Island.
Southside.
Phillip Island. There you go.
Phillip
There you go.
Island.
There you go.
Frankston.
The Phillip Island Phoenix. That sounds a bit
Phillip
better, but anyway,
Island
they've been
Phoenix.
performing
That
strongly.
actually does sound alright. Rolls
Sounds
off the tongue.
alright. Sounds alright.
They'd be the
But no,
Penguins
guys,
if they were from there.
Yeah. Phillip Island.
So
Penguins.
just wanted to touch on the NBL briefly, but top 4: Sydney Kings, Perth, the Phillip Island Phoenix, as we'll call them, and Adelaide, and the Bullets sneaking in there at 5th, but can they push their
smoky.
fourth spot? Round 5, we've got Breakers, Cairns. I think the pick of the round has to be the Bullets against Perth. Yeah, that's another one of those games which will really decide,
Is that
really highlight where these teams are at.
Is that in
as
Brisbane?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
in Brisbane.
Wildcats.
As they push for finals aspirations, which to be fair are still months away.
Yeah.
But I mean, every game matters.
exactly?
Certainly does.
Right. We done with NBL now, boys. Is that all you wanted to say, Finn?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to touch on it because we
Yeah,
haven't
just
talked about
touch
it
on it.
since. But again, let's watch out for LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton and Sydney Kings, early favourites. So key takeaways.
All right, we'll move on to the rugby league, boys. I know we all love it. My favourite sport. We've got to talk about it every week because, it's popular and people love it. I know
It's a great game.
Everyone from Brisbane loves it. The Broncos, of course, one of the most popular teams in the NRL.
Wait, serious question though. If you walked around Suncorp on a Broncos day and you said, everyone, what's your favourite sport? What would they say? Like, I'm just trying to understand what...
What do you mean? At a
if you walked
Broncos
around
home
Suncorp-
game?
Great question.
Yeah, if you walked around and said, what's your favourite sport? What would these people say?
Are you trying to
What's
tell
the
a
most
joke
popular
here, mate?
sport in... Oh, haha, I get it. It's a game joke.
Yeah.
It's
Game
a
joke.
The only.
See, I am funny.
Yeah,
funny.
I saw it coming, mate. I saw it coming.
Yeah,
I'm pretty witty. I know what's going on.
yeah, okay. Alrighty. Let's talk some league.
Right.
Go on. Get
Well,
it out of your system.
The NRL 2020 draw has been released. Finally, I've been waiting. What's it like 3 weeks? It's been It's like
You've been
no
waiting
time.
for so long,
It's been
mate.
it's been no time pretty much. We now see the likelihood of each side taking it out this year. Can the Roosters go 3 in a row for the first time since the Eels in 1983? Can the Titans get off the bottom of the ladder, guys?
No.
Yeah, I think
What sides will push for the top 8 position? What
Doggies.
sides might surprise you this year? Probably also the Doggies. I agree with Finn there with the Bulldogs. I think they've got a reasonable draw. And
Smoky.
they've recruited quite well.
Well, I think that's
End
the
of
big
season
tick, mate.
form. End of season form shows that they're on the rise.
I think the Tigers will drop
Yeah.
because I think they've come 9th the last couple of years type thing, but yeah, they'll drop a bit.
Yeah.
Cowboys should see a bit of a resurgence
No,
from them because
I don't
you don't think?
No.
I just think last year was such a bizarre season by the Cowboys that they can't do that the second year in a row.
They've done that a couple times though in recent years. They've just underperformed. I don't think Penrith will get any better.
I think the
They've
Knights
been
as well.
rubbish. The Knights
could
may.
push.
But they ran out of gas as well. The
Exactly,
Dragons
but
will
I
be
think
rubbish.
they'll be better for that. And I'm biased here, gents, but I will say the Warriors. Not that they've recruited well, but every year they've just got a talent a list that excites.
I like the look of 10th place for the Warriors. It's a very comfortable
generous.
position
I'll
for
take
them.
that. I'll take that.
I think the top eight's going to look, if not the same as 2019, it's pretty much going to be the same.
Again, for the last 2 years, we've sat down and we've done our top eight. We'll do it again next year, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we've gone, this is just an absolute sure thing, an absolute lock. These top eight teams, no one else will push, no one else will surprise. And I think every year we get about 50% of the top eight right. Or I think we got about 60% last year type thing. So,
well, I put sides like Penrith and the Cowboys in my top eight as well, and they were just dreadful.
And you forgot about the Rabbitohs.
And I did forget about It's not because I hate them. It's just
But Gussie, so the draw. Speaking of the draw, mate, what's your game to watch out of 2020?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I'd have to go with the grand final rematch between the Roosters and the Raiders, and it's being played at Perth. Their first encounter this year.
No, we spoke about that last week. It's just Perth. I don't think it's the gold mine that the NRL think it is. But anyway,
we'll see what happens.
Chat about that for a while.
We'll see how many people show up. I assume a lot will, because it is a grand final rematch. We'll see if Canberra can get their revenge from the 2019 decider. We'll see if the Roosters can keep their clinical winning going. Clinicality. Is that a word?
What about you, Campbell? Is that a word?
What, clinical? What do you say, clinicability or some stupid thing?
Yeah, I think you said clinical ability.
Well, I was just looking at the MLB World Series personally because I have so much spare time while we're talking about this. It'll be done by the time we publish it, but it's been an absolutely excellent series.
Will it though? Because is it 3-2 still?
It's 3-3.
The
Nats won today to 7-2 to make it 3-3. Come and do it. Awesome Game 7. It's been an absolute ripper series.
Where is Game 7?
Game 7 is, I think, it's at the Stros, so it's in Houston. So we've seen the Nats beat Houston every time they've been in Houston this series. And we've seen the Stros beat the Nats every time they've been in Washington. So both teams have been dreadful on the road. But in terms of is this my game to watch you were talking about? Sorry.
Yeah, we were going to touch on your game to watch.
I did pick the Cowboys Bronx.
Yeah, first round.
Cowboys Bronx?
Yeah, that was my listed game.
Derby.
Yeah, can't really go wrong with that one.
It's at North Queensland Stadium.
Yes. New stadium. New stadium, isn't it?
It's
a new stadium?
Yeah, I believe so. North
They've got rid of 1300 Smiles, which was just a fantastic name for a stadium.
Yeah.
It's up there with the greats, surely.
The greats, yeah. But no, that's always a classic battle. And again, I don't think the Cowboys will be as bad as what they were last year, but they've got a long way to go.
Yeah. Week 2 of the Rugby League internationals continue this Saturday at Eden Park in Auckland.
It's cool.
We'll do your pick then, Finn. What do you think?
Well, do you want my opinion or?
Yeah, just go. Just do it. Sorry, I forgot. Do it. Do it.
Finn, I want to hear it, mate.
Just do it.
One more time, Campbell.
Do it.
I want to hear it.
They can't see us, but I'm blushing. Thank you, Campbell.
All right, babe.
Anyway. Jesus Christ.
This chemistry we've got on air, mate.
No. Was I think How dare you?
Continue.
You're not fam anymore.
Can we hear your prediction, mate? Or your tip?
Get into it, Gussie. Any of the games of round 25, really. But I think, because I think there's some real 6-pointers, as the EPL term is, but I think the pick of the round for me, Sharkies at home to the New Zealand Warriors.
Scoma will be happy.
Scoma.
Guys, I reckon that could be one of those games where I think history's shown that, 7th through to 11th tends to be about 2 points difference almost. So this could be one of those games where both teams need a win, maybe for the Sharks to get into the top 4, maybe for the Warriors to get into the top 8. Heck, maybe for the Warriors to win the minor
10.
premiership, because they're equally as likely as they are to doing that to avoiding the wooden spoon. So but I think if I'm taking my Warriors hat off, Raiders Storm live from Canberra.
Oh, that will be interesting.
Again, some absolutely awesome games which should lead perfectly into the final series.
Yeah.
So round 25, safe bet.
Yeah. we'll move on to the week 2 of the Rugby League Internationals, which are on Saturday at Eden Park. So Samoa versus Fiji in the first game at 11:20. This will be the first time we've seen these teams play since June earlier this year. There are plenty of stars. Samoa have some big backs. Joseph Leilua, big hitters like George Tafua, Junior Paulo, Marty Tapau as props. They're a massive side.
Tapau.
Yeah.
Remember when Tapau was like the forward in the NRL? It was only a few
He
years
still is
ago
a very good forward.
He is, but a few years ago he was like, Tapau's playing for the Kiwis. Man, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
He was one of those players.
Yeah.
He was kind of like Tamalolo.
Well, yeah, him and Tamalolo have kind of slipped off the radar, and players like Josh Papali
They have.
up there now.
You know, Tamalolo a few years ago got offered that 10-year, $10 million contract. So
I'd still have Tamalolo in my side.
Yeah, I still would too. But I mean, the Cowboys kind of going, look, I mean, he's good, but is he that good?
Yeah.
Should we be chucking $1 million at Fafita instead?
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Fiji also have a quality roster. They have storm stars like Suliasi Vunivalu and Tui Kamakamika. Great Britain versus New Zealand. You'll be excited for this one, Finn. That one kicks off at 2 p.m. Great Britain will be looking to bounce back after their loss to Tonga last weekend.
Tonga Invitational.
We'll see how New Zealand come back from their loss to Australia. It was a pretty boring game, if I'm going to be honest. Australia were a bit too good for New Zealand.
I tagged you in it during the week, mate. But the big lineup news
did you
regarding New Zealand.
Did you tag me in it? Or
no, you're not our friend.
Sorry? You're kind of just that guy who just knows how to operate the mics.
I'm sorry. What do you do, Finn?
No.
Great question. Great question.
Great question. Anyway, let's not turn on each other. Now, Sean Johnson, Gussie, and Campbell.
Yeah.
Sean Johnson being cut from the Kiwis.
I'm just going to turn Finn's mic down just to...
Finn, speak.
I don't know if you're doing it. I don't know if you mean it.
He doesn't know if I mean it.
Yeah, he doesn't know that we've turned his mic down. Okay,
he definitely does.
Anyway, I'm just going to keep talking. Great Britain, though.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going. Why are you stopping?
No, because I think you've turned my mic down, but I don't know.
It's up.
No. So it's the Great Britain Lions, Gussie. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's an absolute joke, because I don't know the history of that team, to be honest with you, but I'm comparing it to Union. The British and Irish Lions, a very historic team in rugby union. And I don't know how historic this Great Britain side is in rugby league with the Lions name attached. I know they used to play as Great Britain, but has the Lions always been
it's very new.
affiliated?
But like, you see the Lions a lot in most English sporting
But
fields.
it's not
So you
England,
see with
mate, it's Great Britain.
Great Britain, whatever. It's
No, I mean, like, that's the difference, though. If it was just England, then I would kind of go, yeah, that's England.
Yeah.
It's like the silver fern for New Zealand. But it's Great Britain. And they're using the same animal as the rugby union equivalent. So, look, to be honest, for all I know, the league team could have been made first. But I mean,
look, I don't think so. Actually,
I don't think so either, to be honest with you. But
look, I don't mind. It's an emblem. Who cares? Right, we'll go on to the... I know you're not happy with that, but anyway, we'll go on to the Australia versus Tonga Invitational game. This is a game of the round. Expect the Tongan fans to be out in force. I don't know if you saw the atmosphere in the last game between Australia and Tonga. This was the end of last year, but it was pretty unreal. The Tongan fans are very charismatic. We'll play a little bit of audio now of the Tongan fans in that game. They were actually singing during a set of 6, and it actually led to a try. It was pretty cool.
To me, that just shows passion about anything else. Mate, that was so. It's good to see.
They are one of the most passionate fan bases out there. I don't know anyone more passionate about rugby league.
And I posed the question: does Tonga deserve a NRL team?
Look, maybe not at the NRL level. They definitely deserve one, but they don't have the facilities. They don't really have. They'd have to play out in New Zealand. And what's the point in bringing a Tongan side in when you've got them playing out in New Zealand? May as well be a New Zealand side. They might be better off playing in the Canterbury Cup or Intrust Super Cup, competitions like that.
Yep.
So what the PNG Hunters have done, I think that's a good idea. I wouldn't mind seeing a Samoan side in the Canterbury Cup in the near future.
It can't happen. At the end of the day, rightly or wrongly, the NRL, they don't care that much about expansion.
Yeah.
Really. And they're not that focused like rugby union. Where rugby union, it's constantly trying to develop the lesser nations almost, or trying to provide opportunities to these lesser nations. But I think rugby league, they also just want the talent.
I also think
that's not necessarily wrong, because teams like Tonga, Fiji, they don't have the funds and the facilities, as you said, to host their own team.
Yeah, but the game's definitely helping develop Tongan, Fijian, PNG rugby league. It's definitely helping. Like,
it is, mate, but that's only because these players like Tamalolo have gone, look, I'll go play for Tonga, because for me that's important. But if they didn't do that, I think, for all being honest, Tonga just wouldn't be where they are now. They would be far from it. They'd be just an average Joe international side that is a feeder to New Zealand and or Australia.
Yeah, I also think that the NRL is just too concerned with keeping their players out of trouble, which is an issue. But they've got a right reason to be worried about their players, because their players get in a lot of trouble. Anyway, we're gonna kick it off, guys. It's a bit of a sad one.
Stop! I'm crying.
I know. Gussie, hold it back, mate.
Grab a tissue, bud. Grab a tissue.
Not on air.
Guys, we've lost something today. We've lost one of our favourites. We're about to lose it. It's the very last one of it. Finn, would you like to say it?
What? That I'm in Japan.
Finn. F-I-N-N. Finn. Finn. F-I-N-N. Finn. Finn.
Yeah, Gussie, hold back the tears.
Yeah,
it's gonna
be
finish Japan.
Again, I think we did fantastic on that audio. But guys, it is the last episode where Finn is in Japan for now. Oi. Oi, oi. Last episode that he's in Japan that we know of. He may head back because he may have found a young lover over there. Who knows?
Jeez. Young lover.
Throw that one in there. But no, it is the last episode of Finn in Japan. How have you enjoyed your time overall while you've been there, mate?
Good. No, mate, it's been indescribable.
Well, you can, if you'd like to describe it, that would be great.
Yeah, we are doing a podcast.
We are, Gussie, and that's true. No, I think what I've been able to do over here has been something I thought I wouldn't be doing for at least another 20, 30 years. So it's
Gee whiz.
very, very cool. Maybe less. I don't know.
20, 30 years. Back yourself.
Fine,
mate.
15, 10 years. I don't know.
There you go.
But no, I've had great opportunities meeting good journalists, meeting good teams. Speaking of players, James O'Connor has to be the highlight. Yeah, man, it's been
childhood
awesome.
hero.
It's just a shame that the World Cup ended early and all the teams went home last week.
Yeah, it ended early for you, mate.
No,
but the Seffies march on, hey.
Look, talk us through that night. England defeating New Zealand in probably the biggest semi-final result I reckon I've seen in the last few World Cups.
I think, to me, it was like waiting for something to die.
Gee whiz. Like Finn in Japan.
It was.
Yeah.
Just because Manu Tuilagi, I think he crossed after 90 seconds type thing, so it was very one-sided right from the get-go. The All Blacks, few selection risks, and, they just couldn't get their game plan working. So, but you could see that from the get-go, and so when the final whistle went, it was almost like it's finally over.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Did you think the game was lost before it started?
I wouldn't say that, Campbell, but I think England won it in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, by the time the final whistle came around, it was like, man, this is a tough pill to swallow, but it's not a surprise. It didn't come down to a refereeing blunder or anything like that. It was out and out just a bad performance by the All Blacks and a good performance by the English.
Yeah,
that being said, this was talked about as the most competitive Rugby World Cup ever. and I think that's what we saw last week. In that the top four all had really good games except for New Zealand. But what that England-New Zealand game showed to me was that any team can beat any of the top 6 teams in the world can beat each other on their day. But I think if England played New Zealand again this week, I can't say the All Blacks would have got dominated again as they did. But that being said, look, the All Blacks outplayed, outclassed, lost the physical battle, lost the mental battle. And is what it is. Tough pill to swallow, and they march on.
Can I just say I predicted this?
You did.
Yeah. If you listen back to our Rugby World Cup preview,
I think it was episode 9.
Yeah, I predicted England getting into the final and actually taking it out. Look, I'm not 100% sure they'll take it out. They've still got to overcome South Africa, who got the job done against Wales in the most boring game of rugby union I've probably seen in my life.
It wasn't
I think there were like 40,
really.
I think there were 41 kicks in the first half.
80,
or something like
there were
that.
In the first
81
half,
in
yeah.
total.
In the first half.
No, in the whole game.
It was a
81
battle
in
of the
total.
boot. Faf de Klerk
Mate, it was
sure got the toe.
Faf de Klerk.
Yeah.
I think he's my favourite rugby player.
Faf de
he's
Klerk.
so cool.
Francois is his real name. Just
Is
thought
it
I'd throw that
actually?
out there.
Is
Yeah.
it? There you go. No,
French?
But it was
No, South Africa.
yeah.
Francois.
Look, the atmosphere at that game was awesome. That's a bit of a flex, I
Yeah,
guess.
you were at
but-
it. How was it?
Yeah, mate, the atmosphere
Rub it
was
in my
good, but-
face.
The atmosphere was good, but it was a bit of a highlight to an otherwise highlightless encounter. That
Yeah.
makes sense. No, weekend, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I think South Africa they did a Wales, in that Wales over the last 2 years they've learnt how to win, and they say winning's a habit, in that sometimes you get into these situations where a game can go either way, but you can pull it out from nowhere. And South Africa, they pretty much did that last week. They let Wales back in the game at a very dangerous stage. And Andre Pollard nerves of steel, knocked one over 4 minutes to go.
He did play
man,
very
and,
well. He did
I'm
play
really
very well.
hoping they beat the English next week, though, gents. Really hoping they beat the English next week.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they will?
Again, it's wishful thinking. I think my head tells me no, my heart tells me yes, just because I hate the English.
Yeah.
Um,
I can imagine you hate the English after what
Well,
they've
it's just-
done.
Again, no, it's not even that, mate. Just being here. The English fans really annoy me already.
Are they a bit of
That's
hooligans,
just
or are
English. They just love winning, don't they?
Yeah,
They
but
did
it
it
was
at the
like-
World Cup for the football. They did it at the
That's different,
cricket.
though.
It's
That's different.
coming home.
Look, I
It's
think,
coming.
like, they were singing
Rugby's coming home. Have you
Yeah.
heard that much?
No,
Really?
because
Wow, I would have thought that'd be all over the streets.
the
Must just
big
be
rugby,
Hmm.
the big rugby anthem is "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot,"
Oh,
and
right.
they were swinging that. They were singing that in the streets. When they
Wow.
won the quarterfinal type thing. So
Hmm.
it was like, calm down a bit, guys. It's a quarterfinal win.
I'll
Take it
give
on the
them
chin.
something.
And
Speaking about Wales
Well.
quickly, do you think this may be Alan Wynne-Jones's last game as Welsh, as a
No.
Welshman? Or
No.
do you think it's
I thought-
going to be his last World Cup?
I thought it was, but I was speaking to some people today, and apparently he's not retiring, or at least it hasn't been announced. So
Well,
there's the British and Irish Lions tour to South Africa in 2 years.
mhm.
So I think he'll at least try and stick around for that. He'll be 39 by that stage,
That's
so
insane.
probably bow out then. But I can't see him go to the next World
No.
Cup. So I think it's his last World Cup game against
Mhm.
the All Blacks on Friday. But
Absolute
yeah.
bastion of Welsh rugby.
Mm.
Good
Well,
to see it.
Kieran Reid described him as a colossus.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah.
great player.
On the game, there were two, I guess, points of contention in the England. What massive points of contention for me personally in the England versus New Zealand game. Firstly, we'll start off the game.
Yep.
The haka. Now, we didn't mention this earlier, but at the start of the game, as always, New Zealand prepared to do the haka, and England did something quite different. What did they do, Gussie?
Well, pretty much. They stood in a V. A few players actually crossed the halfway line. So you're supposed to stand away. You're supposed to stand a certain distance away from the haka. I'm not sure how far it is, but
40 meters.
40 meters. And they had officials there, and the English players wouldn't move. Obviously, it was a bit of intimidation, like trying to
counteract.
Yeah,
It's like
fire with
counteract it.
fire. And they didn't want the haka to intimidate them. And if you actually see the looks on some of the Kiwis' faces, they're a bit perplexed by what's
They
going
were a little
on.
bit shook
No,
by it, and I
they're
think
not,
it's
mate.
quite an
No,
interesting
you can't
tactic.
say that 'cause that's not true.
I
saw
think it was.
but,
Yeah,
I mean, my
Not true
eyes
at all.
don't lie. They were looking around like, what's going on?
they
weren't
looked a little bit
perplexed.
confused.
If I
I
saw a
think
massive V instead of people standing in a straight line, I would look a bit confused as well.
They've never seen that before in their life.
No.
Someone stand
No,
up to them
but-
like that, and I think
Well,
I think
no,
they were
it's-
intimidated by it.
It's happened before, though. It's happened in other... I'm not sure if it were World Cup games, but other sides
World
have
Cup
tried to
2000.
intimidate.
Rugby World Cup 2011, in the grand final, France walked towards New Zealand in a V.
Mm.
Pretty classic for me though is Wales. They really tried banning the haka a few years ago.
Yeah.
To the point where they said no haka before the game. So
Hmm.
the All Blacks, what they did is they did it in the changing rooms.
God,
and
that
had it
scared
on
me
the
even
TV.
more.
That's great.
Another one was again Wales. Again, they didn't move. So they watched the haka, and then they stood there, and it was kind of like a, who's going to move first type thing between the All Blacks and Wales.
What about the
Mexican
What about the
standoff.
Wallabies as
Yeah.
well? When
They walked
instead,
up.
yeah, they were warming up instead of standing to watch
Yeah.
the haka.
I forgot who it was. Could be John Alomu, I can't tell you, but an All Black around that time said, that was a big mistake because that just got me really amped up.
Yeah, they
'Cause
got
it's
walloped by like 40 points as well in that game.
Yeah, they did, and it's a respect thing, and I think that's important. Hearing a few of the All Blacks' comments, they didn't find offence to it, and I don't think that's what the haka is about. The haka is supposed to be a challenge, and it's supposed to be a cultural acknowledgement or tapping into into your culture.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
the
a
haka
war.
is.
It's a war.
It's a war dance, mate. But it's not about intimidation, and
No.
that's what media try and build it up to be.
Yeah.
It's been commercialized. That's the reality. But I think it's important for the players because it's a part of identity as New Zealanders. That's what they do. That being said, it is a challenge. So the players, opposition, they can stand there and watch it, or they can do what England did. And again, listening to the All Blacks today, man, they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. So maybe they were looking around, but I don't think they were confused because I think it's like a, let's go type thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is
okay.
they want it as much as we do, and
But do
think-
you think
Yeah.
England should have been fined?
no.
Yeah,
No,
I think that's a bit ridiculous.
Actually, I'll change that answer. Yes.
Oh, really?
Just because one player in particular, Joe Marler, if you look him up, is a real larrikin.
See the
but
guy with the
he-
shaved head with the mohawk?
Yeah. He walked a bit further than anyone else, and he was asked by referees, Joe, move back, and he kind of played dumb almost, or didn't listen to them type thing. I think he was asked about 2 or 3 times. So for that reason, I think they should be fined, but I don't think they should be fined for what they actually did. If that makes sense.
I did love
was
Owen
that
Farrell's smirk as
Yeah,
well.
that
Let's
was
just point
great.
that out. Great
was
smirk.
great. That was great.
Do
Again,
you think that's a personal fine that he should get though? Not the
No, because I think it's a team game.
yeah. But,
Also,
Team game.
it was like, how much was it? 2K?
yeah.
£2,500, I think. So,
What does that is not even worth a fine.
Yeah, but I mean, he was only like 2 meters over.
But also, there's just no point. Like, what is £2.50 or whatever it is? £2,500 to Rugby England? Nothing.
Exactly, mate.
Nothing.
They have a fair bit of bank. They millions and millions of dollars every year in revenue. So
But I mean,
to
it's
any
probably-
international rugby corporation, $2.5 is nothing.
But it's probably more
like
about
when,
the reaction.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about it, and we're on the other side of the world. Well, not
it's
really,
like,
but
it's
like,
like when Barcelona didn't something happen with Antonio Griezmann in that transfer?
Antoine?
They approached
Antoine Griezmann. Yeah.
Antoine Griezmann.
Yeah, with the
Griezmann's-
tapping up scandal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were only fined, I think it was 400 euro type
Yeah,
thing.
which is
just like,
ridiculous.
what?
Not even worth
Let's
it.
just get this out of my back pocket.
Usually they're given a transfer ban for that kind of thing, so I don't know
Exactly.
why they got off so lightly.
Yeah, Chelsea got a transfer ban.
Corruptness?
How does
guys,
City
but,
get off without transfer bans? Like, what's going on?
I mean, well, with City, it would just be financial fair play that would be the issue,
Yeah.
which Chelsea have been in.
Chelsea's got the
yeah.
loan players.
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
a
thing
problem
going
as well.
on.
But I think for City, it's mainly, and same with PSG and those super clubs, is that it's more of a financial fair play issue. With Barcelona, it was financial fair play as well. But the thing with those big clubs, with Real Madrid, with Barcelona, is they can buy a player for 10, 20 million, improve him a bit, and sell him for 40 or 50. That's just what they can do, which means they fall under. It's fine.
Mate, it's all these organisations though. They have so much money that even £2,000, it's not significant at all.
It's nothing.
Not.
But anyway, so yeah, we got another great 2 games this week.
I'm keen.
The game that no one wants to play in the third, fourth playoff.
Yeah, that is the insult of a game.
Are you going to that, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Zealand and Wales, they both named their teams. New Zealand, fairly full strength, to be honest. Wales, not really. So I think the All Blacks, they could win this by 25-30 type thing. Whereas I think with the big one, look, grand finals are always pretty anticlimactic when it comes to World Cups.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I'll say, for England. I think England played their grand final last week.
Yeah, I agree.
No team goes through the knockout stages of a World Cup and is not tested. And England haven't been tested yet.
No, they really have not.
They haven't been. No, I mean, we expected a test against Argentina. They had a player sent off within 15 minutes, and then, well, there was no fight there. They expected a fight between England and France. That game was called off. Australia were wiped off the deck, and New Zealand really didn't turn up. So, but that being said, to South Africa, they've never lost a World Cup final. So,
but have South Africa really showed you anything?
Again, mate, they showed me they can win, and they can win tough, because that's what it takes to win knockout games.
I agree.
The All Blacks, I think, almost tried playing just like it was a regular season game, in that they tried playing flamboyant, but that's not knockout rugby. Sometimes knockout rugby is boring. Sometimes knockout rugby is traditional.
Look,
and that's what we saw last weweek. It was a kicking-a-thon, 81 kicks, and I'm expecting something fairly similar this week if South Africa can stop England's first phase.
I was about to say that.
Ball.
I was about to say that. I think it'll be another one for the boot.
Look,
Faf will be very lively and active the whole game.
I think you can say that New Zealand and Australia, you can say that they played badly, and they did, but they only played badly because England played so well. I think we're forgetting how well England have played so far in this competition.
Yeah.
We're not giving them much credit, and they deserve a lot more than what they've gotten. And they've made a World Cup final, for goodness sake. Like, they've played some great footy.
Something I also want to mention, and I'm biased, I'll give you guys that, but I haven't seen anything in the Australian media or world media congratulating the All Blacks on what they've achieved. I think, well, they've had 12 years of pretty...
we're like best of mates, though.
No, and I haven't seen much congratulating the Saffis or anything like that.
No, the All Blacks have been top of the world for 12 years. And the only comment I saw was from Matt Giddo, an unlikely ally, I guess, saying congratulations to the All Blacks for just that. Now, even just like, I don't know, Fox Sports saying, clapping emojis, All Blacks, 12 years at the top.
But does being at the top, does that warrant you being good? Do you need to be complimented at that point when you're winning all the time? People get a bit sour.
Yeah,
but also, do you need the recognition?
You don't. I don't think you need the. I think
when you've been getting recognition for 12 years.
Exactly. I think
the whole time.
I get
had
it.
Enough.
I think when you see these dynasties and stuff, I think you've got to recognize you've got to recognize greatness.
But
again, that's not.
I don't think people think the dynasty's over though.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And I think that's something I want to mention too, Campbell. After 2007, New Zealand got knocked out of the World Cup quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
Massive culture shift, big changes, and I'm expecting something similar this time round. Nothing lasts forever. You can't, in high performance sport, you can't win all the time. But I think this All Blacks team, they've shown over the last 100 years that when they get knocked down, they get up and stand taller.
Certainly.
And I'm expecting something similar now. Who's their next coach going to be? That's a massive debate.
Jamie
Ian Foster,
Joseph,
Scott Robertson, Dave Rennie. They might poach Dave Rennie from the Australian gig, who's being talked up as the front runner, which is pretty controversial in
Very
itself.
controversial.
Joe Schmidt, Tony Brown. There's so many names that are being tossed up, but you know, whoever comes in is going to change things big time.
Speaking of coaches, just a quick one. What did you think? We're going to play a bit of audio now of the press conference after the game. A New Zealand journo asked, basically, in case you can't hear it, do you think that the New Zealand team didn't show up? He asked this to the coach Steve Hansen, and Kieran Reid, the captain, asked him, basically, did New Zealand show up on the day? And here's the audio now.
Kieran, Steve mentioned before, I think you said we needed to get hungry and desperate before it was too late. From your point of view, from the players' point of view, I suppose, did the team turn up with the right attitude tonight?
Yeah, I think we did. You know, you've seen how hard we worked out there. Definitely the boys really wanted it. I think the detail of the match probably, didn't go our way. But no, our work rate and how much we really wanted it was there. You could see it even in that first half, when we conceded, we came back and hung in there. It's, it's just, to be honest, pretty gutting. Just, when it doesn't go your way, it's a hard thing to take. And I know that we're all hurting.
I'd just like to clear that up too, because I think it's quite a disrespectful question to suggest that the All Blacks turned up not being hungry. They're desperate to win the game. Because I've asked them at half-time to get hungrier, doesn't mean to say they didn't turn up to be hungry. There's a big difference. And if you want to spend some time outside, I'll give you a rugby education on that one. But to turn up and say an All Blacks team comes to a semi-final of the Rugby World Cup with the amount of ability and the history that it's had behind it, to say it's not hungry, that's a pretty average question, I reckon.
So what did you think of that, Finn? He takes quite a bit of offence to it. Justified?
Not a brag, but I was sitting in that press conference room, and I remember I was talking to a journalist before it started. And laugh, Gussie, it's true, mate. It's true. I was talking to a journalist before it, and then when the press conference started, we obviously didn't talk, listened. But when that comment was made, we both kind of just looked at each other, almost instinctively, going, what? Because it wasn't justified, the answer. The question was the perfect question to ask in that situation.
Certainly. It was a pretty routine question.
It's not fair to imply that the All Blacks don't care about a World Cup semi-final, because that's not true. But it is fair to ask, the team just wasn't up to standard today, and that was a perfect summary. If you had a one-word summary of the All Blacks' performance, that's a good starting point.
Certainly.
I don't think he needed to ask the question. I thought he already knew the answer.
Yeah, but you want the quote. You want you want to hear what they're thinking.
But
did he get a story out of it?
Yeah.
Yes,
obviously. He went viral.
Exactly.
Look, I think it's a fair question, and Steve Hansen, he's not under any. He's already announced he's going to step down, but I think as an All Blacks head coach, as an All Black, you're always under that pressure, expectation. It's the weight of a nation, the expectations of a nation, guys. So, I mean, he was clearly feeling it a bit, very disappointed, I'd say, and yeah, he just started biting back a wee bit.
Seemed a little bit salty and irrational. I feel like he was insulted over nothing almost. Not that it was a nothing question, but that I think he answered poorly and made himself sad. Because I think it's quite unreasonable to go, we're a New Zealand side, of course we show up when you lose the game.
Might have been a little bit of a retaliation from the actual performance as well. He might have not been in the right headspace to answer the question. They were coming off a pretty bad loss as well. That's
what I mean, Gussie. He was very disappointed with that performance, because that was his second last test as All Blacks head coach.
Yeah.
But his last real one that means anything. Because again, this third, fourth playoff, it's, can we just go home early?
And you can expect him to be. You can expect him to be quite defensive.
You can, but I'll tell you what I've heard of the All Blacks this week is they're trying to channel this pain and almost embrace it, I think, and trying to use it to motivate them going forward. So sometimes it takes something so heartbreaking to spur the next era of greatness. So I guess that's what we're going to see. Hopefully, over the next 4 years, from my point of view. But
definitely,
I think something similar from the men in gold too.
Yeah.
I can't say they'll be the finished product in 2 years or even 4, but I think Isaac Lucas. I've had just a weird, inkling that Jordan Pateo could be a 15 in a few years.
All right.
So watch this space.
That's fair enough.
Isaac, what's his name?
Isaac Lucas, Rodder.
Isaac Lucas, yeah. He'll be the fly half in a few years. Tamua could be 12.
10.
Jock at 13 type thing. I don't know. There's just
It's already
something about
sounding better.
Mm-hmm.
It is, mate.
It is sounding like an improvement.
Something about Potato at 15 to me. He hasn't played there for the Reds, I don't think, but
I think they just
He played there in high school, so
There you go. Well,
Yeah,
he's
he
a
played fullback.
Big lad, very quick. And what we saw against England and even Uruguay was that when he gets space or he gets one-on-ones, he's very tough to take down. And
very shifty.
I think he could almost be like the second coming of Israel Folau.
Yeah.
In his gameplay.
Yeah.
Not off the field, hopefully. Maybe.
They just need a massive culture shock, Australia. They need out with the old, in with the new, because they've been used to, I wouldn't say losing, but underperforming for a long time.
Look, I think they haven't won the Bledisloe for, I think it's 16, is it 16 years?
Something like that. Something ridiculous.
15 years, 16 years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous in itself. The fact it's taken this long is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Australian rugby because you can't be in a two-team competition and not win it for 16 years.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise, really, that it's been reflected in their World Cup performances. 2015, that was a fluke. At the end of the day, that was a fluke, then getting to the final. I mean, they beat England and Wales in the group stages, fair dues, good on you. But, I mean, there's nothing about this team that really screams, we're here for the trophy. They say it. But do they mean it? Do they themselves believe it? And I'm hoping that these under-20s players coming through could hopefully, maybe switch into gear a wee bit, because I think the All Blacks the Wallabies under-20s, they've made the final before, and yet we're here again. So we can't have that again. We need these under-20s, these junior Wallabies in the men's side next year, and go from there.
Yeah, I think Australian Rugby Australia has kind of come to acceptance of mediocrity. I think we've kind of gone, well, we're never going to beat New Zealand, even though that should never be your attitude.
So but in there, it's not even just that, mate. It's not even we'll just never beat New Zealand. It's we'll never beat the NRL, we'll never beat the AFL, we'll never beat cricket. Because in Australia, they're competing with these other codes for talent, for popularity. And I think that's reflective in audiences, fan bases, but performance too.
Yeah.
If there's no passion on the outer, there's not going to be as much passion on the inner. So, yeah, mate, it's again they've got a long off season to think about it, longer than normal, an extra 4 weeks. They'll jump up to Super Rugby next year. And, actually, on that, interesting proposal that's been finalised by Auckland Rugby and Auckland Rugby League. Could this happen in Brisbane and Australia, where the Auckland Blues and New Zealand Warriors playing on the same night?
Yeah, I saw
Could we see that in Queensland, or?
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke about this earlier. I think we need to touch on it next week. But
that's cool. See you next week.
No, we're running out of time, mate. We're running out of time.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll touch on that next week. One quick question before we leave. Quick answers. Who's your pick for the for the final of the Rugby World Cup? Who's going to take it away? Finn.
South Africa by 4.
England by 14.
South Africa by 6.
South Africa by 8. Doesn't matter how many, as long as they win.
Come on, you Seffi, Zach. Come on the box, yeah.
Right. Well, that is the end of Finn in Japan. It's sad to see it go, boys. I'm grieving. I'm grieving, Finn. It'll be good to see you back here next Monday.
Shampers. Showers.
Yeah. We'll post something on the story, a bit of celebrations when you get back.
I'm looking forward to it, guys. I'm looking forward to being back in that studio. It's been a while.
Exactly, mate. And before we leave... Sorry, go.
A lot of hotel rooms.
Oh, yeah. All right. Great. Well, we're going to actually go down to the Gold Coast and stay in another hotel room, just so you don't get, withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. That's ease me back into it. Yeah.
Exactly. But before we leave, we just want to urge everyone, to all the ladies and the fellas, to take part in Movember. We'll be taking part, even though none of us can grow. Gus can probably grow one. Finn and I, it'll look terrible. We just wanted to urge everyone to grow a mo and save a bro. So yeah, join the appeal. We really want to get behind it. We may even have a team going, so if you see anything about it, please join us, help us out. It's a really good cause. Because you take us out of here, let's get out.
Yes, this episode has gone for hours. God, I don't want to see it end. Right, well, we are at the end of episode 14 now, boys. 14. End of 3 months. Okay, we don't need the slow clap. So we don't
Or
need
you,
this.
Gussie.
We don't need the
Or
slow
you.
clap. If you haven't already followed us on our
It's a bit
social
sad, mate, if you're
media,
you can't give ourselves a standing O.
I'm giving him a standing O, mate.
What about me? Put in Japan.
Both of you, actually. Yeah.
can we stop clapping? I'm trying to do this
Sorry,
outro.
Get us out of here. Get us
Yeah,
out
I
of here.
need a. It's gonna be midnight.
I'm going to leave.
You can follow us on social
Okay,
media, Instagram at
See you,
_
Finn.
Beyond the Sidelines _ Facebook at Beyond the Sidelines. Chuck us a listen on YouTube, Spotify. Really chuck us a listen on Spotify. Listen to other episodes as well. We've interviewed some great guests. Matthew Willans was great today. Another big thank you to Matt. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We definitely did. We're going to keep making it and keep enjoying.
Keep striving to be
yeah.
the best.
Keep striving to be the best. Campbell's already left, and so will the rest of us.